welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. This is Market Today. I'm Sakshi Batra and with me is Shail Bhatnagar. Well, the Nifty has begun this new week on a positive note. The index definitely closed above the 25,000 mark for the starters, although it could not close above the last week's high of 25,234. Now, what we've also seen is that the overnight cues have been pretty positive from Wall Street. The S&P 500 and the Dow Jones have actually hit fresh record highs as well. All eyes will also be on the earnings front. Reliance Industries and HCL Tech from the big heavyweight companies will be reacting to their Q2 numbers as well today after the earnings, and that will determine how the market mood will be from Tuesday onwards for the rest of the week as well. Good morning to all our viewers and good morning, Shail.
लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, मंगलवार है तो मंगल ही होगा और उसका आगाज़ आपको बहुत बढ़िया तरीके से कल की क्लोज में लग गया था. लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, लेट्स स्टार्ट एज ऑलवेज विद द चार्ट ऑफ द निफ्टी एट 25,127 up 163 points. The Nifty closed at its day's high and formed a higher high and a higher low compared with the close of Friday. Lot of positivities emerged over the weekend and some of them are now extending well into Tuesday as well. Sakshi's pointed out a strong close on Wall Street, a record high on Dow, a record high on the S&P 500 for the 46th time in 2024. Now the US markets are getting ready for another rate cut in November to the extent of 25 basis points. But let's come back to our market. So last week was painful, but Monday started on a strong note. Tuesday looks even better. What are the moves that are helping the markets on Tuesday? Let's analyze them in detail. You have a very strong support on the Nifty by the 50-day exponential moving average, on which the index traveled all of last week on a daily basis. You have a very strong overseas cue coming in from the form of lower crude oil prices. For the third day in a row, crude oil prices are down and now they are around $71 a barrel. That is because Israel has said that while it might attack Iran, but it is only looking at military installations, not Iran's crude oil and nuclear infrastructure, and that's a very big positive for global markets, and that's the reason why you've seen crude oil prices dip and markets on Wall Street hit a record high. That sentiment is traveling across India too via Asia, where you see the Nikkei rising 1%. Now what else has happened which is positive for Indian markets? Well, apart from crude, it's the easing of the FII net sales. Yesterday's number was 3,300 crores, which was more or less evenly matched by an equal purchase of about 2,700 crore rupees from the domestic institutions. If you look at the last 10-day number, DIIs and FII sales are mostly matched with each other. Now let's look at another positive, a very strong Q2 performance by HCL Technologies. Remember, this among the top 5 tech companies is an outperformer on a year-to-date basis. In 1 year, the counter has outperformed TCS, Infosys, Wipro, Tech Mahindra, and is the top amongst the top 5 companies, up 47%. Well, the earnings were fabulous. The company has increased the lower edge of its guidance, annual guidance, to a growth of 3.5% in dollar revenue. Margins expanded in the second quarter. Sales grew. Business is fantastic, and all companies, all work related to artificial intelligence is also up. So that's the positive. Crude oil is positive. A strong close on Wall Street is positive. What is perhaps muted are two very important numbers, but my view is that the market will ignore them. A muted Q2 by Reliance Industries, except for Reliance Jio. There wasn't much to talk about in any other business, which is Reliance Retail and the oil to chemicals space. Inflation is a big worry. CPI inflation actually surged more than expected to 5.49% from an estimate of 5.25%, and the biggest culprit has been inflation in food prices, up by about 9.1%, mainly due to erratic monsoon. That essentially means that all hopes of a rate cut in December by the Reserve Bank of India perhaps go out of the window. The RBI is not going to tinker with rates when you have retail inflation ranging around 6%. The other positive that I see in the market of course, is the earnings that are now coming back into focus. Today, you have the turn of HDFC Life, India's largest, second largest AMC, HDFC AMC, PVR Inox, Reliance India, and Bank of Maharashtra. And this is how the sentiment is, ladies and gentlemen. You will see better moves ahead, mainly on account of a strong show by HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank on the charts. There are many stocks apart from Reliance which are showing traction on the long side, and perhaps the worst is behind us. Please get ready for better highs and higher highs as far as Nifty is concerned. We are bang in the middle of October today, 15th October. Let's hope that the second half of October is better than the first half. For the first time in the last 11 trading sessions, the Nifty and the Bank Nifty have closed near their day's highs. It says that there is probably more strength ahead. Let's get to Sakshi and try and understand what are the closes on Wall Street, what are the brokerage radars telling us.
Absolutely, Shail. So we have actually seen that overnight Wall Street indices, both S&P 500 and the Dow Jones, hit fresh highs. Like you pointed out, the S&P 500 rose almost 1%, notching its 46th high in this year itself. That's a hint that investors are actually not deterred by the reduced forecast for the third quarterly results and are instead betting on the positive surprises. The rally overnight on the Wall Street was also due to the IT stocks that were driving the stocks higher on the Nasdaq too, especially led by Nvidia, which closed at its highest level as well. Remember, investors will now look forward to the earnings of Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, Bank of America, along with United Airlines as well. So those are the companies, and even Johnson & Johnson. Those will be the key earnings that the Wall Street will be now watching out for. But apart from that, we've also seen that the Asian markets were also stoked with this record closing high on the Wall Street, and they rose in the early trading session and trade today. Japan's Nikkei was higher more than 1% at over 40,000 odd levels. Australia's ASX 200 rose by 0.7% as well. We've also seen South Korea's Kospi saw some gains to trade about 0.2% higher in trade. We've also seen indices in Hong Kong and China, however, trade with absolutely muted trend this morning, and the Hang Seng fell by about 0.7%. So mixed cues right there, but definitely Japanese indices are actually leading the gains from the front. When we look at the GIFT Nifty, that's been trading at 25,236. That actually indicates like a flattish to a positive start in trade today. We'll see how it really goes. Brent crude futures has already been highlighted by Shell. That fell by about 3% to $75 a barrel, and we've also seen the WTI crude also fall by about 3% to $71.6 a barrel as well. This is after OPEC's report said that it sees the demand growing by 1.9 million barrels per day in 2024. That's lower from the 2 million barrels per day in its previous forecast that it had given in as well. Overseas investors, commonly known as the foreign investors, they've actually remained net sellers of the Indian equities for the 11th straight session on Monday. The investors have in fact we've also seen 31 odd crore rupees mopping up right there, but we've seen domestic institutional investors buying worth about 2,278 odd crore rupees of shares. Now, when we look at some of the key stocks, of course, Reliance Industries is the first one that we will be looking at in trade today once the market opens. The profit climbed to 16,563 odd crores. This was down nearly 5% year on year. The gross revenue also stood flat at 2.32 lakh crore rupees. However, the earnings were powered largely by Jio's strong growth. Tariff hikes have helped Jio post a bump up in average revenue per user as well. Strong performance from Jio has helped offset some of the pain in the oil to chemicals business as well for the company. So we'll look at that too. HCL Tech, of course, it's reported a 10.5% increase in the consolidated net profit to 4,235 odd crore rupees for this quarter, as the company has lowered the, increased the lower band of its growth guidance, and that's better than expected performance as well. So that's something that the earnings will be probably getting a reaction to in trade today. Apart from this, when we look at some of the other stocks, Suntech Realty will be in focus. The company has reported a 33% increase in its sales bookings to 524 crores in the September quarter on better housing demand. Its sales bookings, that's pre-sales, also stood at 395 odd crore rupees in the year-ago period. The company's sales bookings rose 31% to 1,026 odd crore rupees during April to September period as well of the current fiscal year. So that's something that we need to keep an eye out on. Angel One, The discounting brokers' net profit, in fact, went up 39% from the same quarter last year to 423 odd crore rupees. So strong profitability figure on that front. Revenue went up by 44.5% to 1514 odd crore rupees, and Angel One's earnings before tax that's EBITDA has actually increased by about 51.5% to 671 odd crore rupees. The margins expanded by 210 basis points too. So on all bases, if you see, Angel One has actually come out with strong set of numbers. Already in this week so far, the stock has jumped up by 5 odd percent. JSW Infra will be in focus. The company has said it has received letter of intent from Maharashtra Maritime Board for development, operation management and maintenance of all weather and multi-purpose port at village Murbe in Palghar district of Maharashtra on public-private partnership basis as well. So that's going to be important to watch out for. Canfin Homes, beg your pardon, is going to be important to watch out for. The company has said that board of directors has approved raising of funds via issuance of the non-convertible debentures, and this could be in overall limit would be about 4,000 odd crore rupees, as has been approved by the members of the AGM. So that's something that you should look at. Sterling and Wilson will be important. The renewables company, the company has said it has received fresh orders worth 823 odd crore rupees, taking the total order inflow in Q2 to about 2,050 odd crore rupees. The unexecuted order book at the highest ever level of 10,500 crore rupees also at this point in time. So keep an eye out on that. Well, we will also be looking at how some of the brokerage houses are actually penciling in some of the key highlights in the earnings that we have seen thus far. So HCL Technologies, there's a Jefferies report which has a hold rating and a target price of 1770, and the Q2 operating performance they believe has beat estimates, with both services and products business surprising positively in the earnings. The company has also raised the lower end of its growth guidance, which is a positive, and therefore they have this 1770 target which they have maintained right there. Apart from this, Nomura has actually given a buy rating on HCL Tech with a 2000 target price. They believe the strong execution has driven the beat in Q2, which can continue going forward too. Bernstein, in its review, has actually given a market perform rating to HCL Tech with a target price of 1940. And they believe that the stock is already up 18% in the last 3 months versus Nifty IT that's up 9% odd. But the PE multiples keeps the risk reward in balance at this point in time. So those are some of the reports that have come in with the way of HCL Technologies. Apart from this, when we look at Federal Bank, there's a Citi report which has added upside 90-day catalyst watch, and they believe the target could be about 231 for this one. They also say risk to slippages and credit costs would be relatively low here. On Bharti Hexacom, Citi has raised the target price to 1655, which is 18% uptick from its earlier target price of 1405. They expect FY24, FY27 estimated EBITDA CAGR of 26% for Hexacom as well. Apart from this, we're also looking at JSW Infra. Nuvama has initiated coverage here, and it believes the company is poised to sustain long-term growth on the back of favorable macro tailwinds as well. We also have Reliance Industries on the review. CLSA has given an outperform rating with a target price of 3,300, and it believes the consolidated EBITDA 2% below forecast has actually been due to weak O2C business and the Reliance retail business, while Jio has actually fared better, and therefore they continue to believe in the long-term story of Reliance Industries. That's the kind of review that's coming from CLSA too. With that, those are the brokerage houses reports. Shail.
Ladies and gentlemen, just the right time to welcome Mr. Dharmesh Kant, Head of Equity Research at Cholamandalam Securities. Namaste Dharmesh ji. As always, it's such a pleasure to hear your wonderful wisdom-laced voice as far as markets are concerned. Let's first tackle HCL Technologies. How do you react to that earnings upgrade that has happened, and of course the fantastic numbers that this company has come up with? Any scope for further improvement in stock price?
Yeah, good morning, Shailji. Good morning to all our viewers. The pretty much in line with a slight surprise when they raised the lower end of the guidance. I don't think there is, long-term scope of re-rating out there. It's likely to be maybe a 5-6% kind of an up move, because it's already trading at near all-time highs, and a good amount of traction has happened behind this rally. HCL Tech if you take, it's been an outlier and outperformer in the entire technology basket for larger part of last 1.5 years. So this quarter itself, the numbers were pretty much in line there. But I would like to see a couple of more earnings from the big boys, I mean, from Infosys and Wipro and Tech Mahindra before taking a blanket call on the IT stocks. To my mind, there's still too much gap between the cup and the lip for IT stocks to take on a trending buy rally from here on.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good one.
How would you look at Reliance Industries? Where do you see growth coming in? Apart from Reliance Jio, there isn't much to talk about. In fact, numbers have got scrunched in the O2 chemical space, and of course, Reliance Retail has had a subpar kind of a performance. Your view on RIL's overall earnings?
Definitely, Shalji, if you look at the numbers, this was the second consecutive quarter when there was disappointment from the O2C business and at the same time the retail business part. So it seems to be like retail part is hitting the ceiling limit. So the growth is likely to moderate out there. And but the digital part, that is the geo business and the new energy business, will be the talking point going forward. So new energies will take another 1 year before you can postulate the number out there and come out on a valuation on a SOTP based kind of valuation method on the Reliance Industries. To our mind, I think it's not likely to correct much from where it is, maybe a 3-4% more correction. And thereafter, it should see a floor coming into the place. So 26,2700 remains a good buy. Overall, prospects of the business remain entirely strong. And next 3 years would be driven by this digital business, which will eventually turn out into a technology company, going by the outlines the chairman gave in the EGM this year. And the other vertical where key number flow can come in through the new energy. So it's still in the very infant stage. So let's see how things shape up. We are recommending a buy on every decline for the Reliance Industries as on SIP based method, and we have done the SOTP based valuation for Reliance based on FY27 earnings. So 3 years down the line, where some new energies numbers will start trickling in, which will dent a bit for on the upside for the Reliance Industries, and that valuation is way high than what industries are recommending most of the participants, and that is 4,200 for Reliance Industries. So, but it's a 3 year call, not 1 year or 6 months kind of a call.
Right, so that's as far as the big bang earnings that's come in, and we will be looking at both RIL and HCL Tech as the first stocks that will react to the earnings at 9 a.m. too in the pre-open. Dharmeshji, very good morning to you. Good to be having you yet another day. But tell me, this is going to be another important day for the IPO space. Hyundai IPO, the biggest ever IPO, is going to be opening for subscription in trade today. This is something that we have been all waiting for. We do know it's going to be upwards of 27,870 odd crore rupees at the upper end of the price band. In the kind of large scale of an IPO that's opening up. 1960 is the upper end of the price band. 7 shares is what one gets in the minimum lot, in the first one lot of subscription. And I want to understand from you, how does it really change the landscape for the Indian automotive industry's listed space? And are you really going to be subscribing yourself and advising subscribe to this IPO to all the clients and investors too?
Yeah, definitely. Good morning. So we have, given a subscription rating or subscribe rating to this IPO, and primarily it's more of a tactical play rather than a pure fundamental play. Because if you look at the IPO pricing, hardly any juice or room has been left there. It's priced to perfection. At the same time, if you look at the structure of this, one is the 27,000 odd crores is a completely in OFS. So this entire money would be taken out by the promoters. And before that, in FY24 itself, they have taken around 10,000 odd crores of dividend income. So put together 37,000 odd crores has gone to the promoter for the investments over a year, 28 years. 1996 is the year when they commenced operations in India. From that time, so a very good return on investment. If you look at from ROI perspective for the promoters, it's an excellent investment they have done. What will happen from now on after this listing is most of the fund managers, PMS, and uh, HNI circle will have to rebalance their portfolio and give some allocation to the Hyundai as well in line with Maruti. So that basket which was earmarked for say passenger vehicles, which only Maruti used to enjoy the 100% allocation, will be now. I mean, the split will be discretionary, whosoever decides the split, but that would be split between Hyundai and Maruti. The only silver lining to Hyundai is they have launched an EV vehicle as well, where Maruti is still to come out with an electric vehicle, and only Tata Motors is the passenger vehicle maker who are there in this space in India currently. So a challenge would be out there. And going by Hyundai, track record on the affordable segment of car, the pricing and the value they roll out to the buyers. So they are likely to do well in EV segment as well. So that's the area where one should be looking at. Listing gains, I don't know how much it will be there. Maybe 5-7% or 10% if it is there, it's a very good listing gain. But our sense is over a period of your holding period, if you have 1 to 2 years, then definitely a good 20-25% money can be made. So it's more of an investment buy than a pure listing play, which many of the prior IPOs have seen.
Right. Dharmesh, let's analyze the landscape on the large street. Do you think the worst is behind us as far as the Nifty is concerned? All of October, we've seen the index correct somewhere like 5.6%, 5.7%, a bit higher on the Bank Nifty, about 8 percentage points from record highs seen in the last week of September. Do you think that markets are now at an even keel, given the fact that FII net sale numbers are decreasing on a daily basis, and of course the net shorts in the markets on the index level by FIs has also balanced out? Your view on the broader market?
Shanji, if you look at the earnings, I mean, on a reported earnings basis, Reliance has shown a degrowth and is quite a bit heavyweight on the Nifty EPS. TCS did not come out with a good set of numbers, and it's very early to say so, but I had a very clear sense that Q2 would also be a dampener in line with Q1. And recently, we have seen one of our prominent brokerage house, cutting the EPS estimate for the Nifty to 7% for this year. We are a bit better. I think it will still be 8 to 9%. But if you are growing at 8 to 9% and giving a PE multiple of 25, 26, it's still expensive. So that is case one. Second is entire, there's a consensus theory playing out that this year is likely to be a soft year from the earnings perspective, but this will be the base year for next 3 years to come by. And that is where the entire, buying thesis or investment thesis rest. SIP flows has been strong. I mean, trading money, FI can come in and go out. They don't mean a lot to the Indian markets. And prior history, if you look at from 2015 onwards, there has been 3 years when there has been net sellers in the market, but the index was up for that calendar year. So I think that is settled. Just to answer your question very precisely, there's a breather rally which is happening as of now. Till Diwali, I expect this rally to continue, and that coincides with the US market elections outcome. Post that, I do see a good significant correction coming into the market, just because of this valuation, divergence which has happened to fall in line to some convergence point. And that level, I think, is around 23,000, 23,500 should be where Nifty will finally settle before charting another 3 years of bull market action.
Okay. Dharmesh ji, which are the key sectors which you will increase your weightage in now in the latter part or the last part of the fiscal year now? We are just about 2 weeks away from Diwali. So that enthusiasm will further come in. But, for the rest of, say, Q3 and the Q4 as well, how would you really be looking at key sectoral positions of yours?
See, I mean, sectors remains the same. We have not changed the sectoral outlook. So defense remains the key play out there. And with the more prominent players like HCL and all, we have focused, high focus out there, weightage out there. At the same time, chemical is one sector which we are watching very closely. We have not still taken a call, but that is under the radar. And that depends more on the European side of the economy. If that starts performing, chemical sector will again come up. Agrochemical, like fertilizers, we have seen some traction. Metal is another play which, to our mind, is a play for next 2 years, though it will be a volatile sector. And the most important sector which we have started allocating but not increase the weightage, but we can increase that going forward is the BFSI and banking space. So Q2 earnings, let it roll out. Our expectation is there would be some deterioration in the asset quality and compression in NIMs, but that should be the last quarter where this happens. So if we get a sense that the worst is behind as far as asset quality and compression in NIMs is concerned, we would be increasing weightage out there in the banking and NBFC space. And particularly the banking space looks to be undervalued on a relative basis if you look at from the valuation, comfort enjoyed by other sectors.
Fair point. Dharmesh, yesterday's CPI inflation at 5.45% has actually 5.49% has perhaps put in maybe a small nail in the coffin of all those who were hoping for a rate cut in December by the Reserve Bank of India in its busy season credit policy. How do you see this stark rise in CPI inflation? Do you think there is still room left for a rate cut, or all those fond hopes should now be forgotten?
Actually, I mean, this was expected that CPI inflation will come up driven by the food prices, how it has been, and it has been very volatile. And going forward, this is likely to cool off. But to my mind, a rate cut would largely depend upon the overall interest rate trajectory of the US. So the gap between the US rate and Indian rates was very narrow. So 100 basis point kind of a gap, which was hardly the case if you look at last 15, 20 years kind of scenario. Usually the gap is 2.5% to 3%. That takes care of the arbitrage cost and the debt flow cost, which overseas investors have to bear when they are investing into Indian equity. So RBI is mindful of that fact, and currency is another play. So if you reduce your rate competitively, and then it will be a problem for RBI to maintain the currency balance factor. So I think it's more function of that. And this year I don't see any rate cut coming in spite of inflation coming down. If it comes down, then also it won't be happening this year. Next year we'll see how the things are panning out globally.
Okay. Right then. Dharmesh, very quickly, if you could tell us any key stocks that have come afresh on your radar in the recent correction that we have actually seen in the first fortnight of October. Have you added any key stocks which maybe came at very attractive valuations?
Yeah, we have added a couple of stocks, and the topmost is the Hindustan Aeronautics. So this company has already corrected, 15-20% from the high levels, and the trajectory still remains very strong. So they are sitting on a very strong order book of 1,20,000 odd crores, and the management is guided for another 2 lakh crores of order book flowing from 1.5 to 3 years going forward. Margins have appreciated. Management has guided for further hike in the margins, the efficiency from 20 to 23% to 27% is the guidance. And there we saw that it's available at a PE multiple of 20 if you look at FY27 earnings. So they would be posting an EPS of around 220 or thereabout, and they are currently sitting in EPS of 113. So a good value buy with ROE of 30-31%, CAGR of 25% on the profitability, and available at 20 kind times P multiple. So that looks very attractive to us. We initiated buy on that. This is from the defense space, and the other has been Incor, which is from the railway space, basically into the infra business. And the reason for selecting Incor was its diversification into other businesses like infrastructure, solar power plant and all. So that will deleverage its profitability mix, and there where I think the real juice plays. So expensive as of now, but going forward 2-3 years down the line, it also appears cheap, and it has corrected almost 40% from the high level. So it gives an opportunity out there.
Ladies and gentlemen, the pre-open is upon us. The markets welcome back Sakshi with a 180-point uptick on the Nifty, 25,324. How I wish I could close the market now and end today's session with these gains, but let's hope they get better. We'll start with HCL Technologies today, 2.3% higher, the market saluting a fantastic set of quarterly performance by HCL Tech, a fresh record high, 1900 for you. Reliance, okay. Muted earnings, the markets are quiet in their judgment, still 5 rupees higher, 27.50. Let's look at what is propelling the market higher, and it's HDFC Bank, 6 rupees higher, 1694. Infosys, 11 rupees higher, 1969. Remember, this is the next company to report this week as far as the tech space is concerned, followed by Tech Mahindra. Okay, what else is in the green? ICICI Bank taking it away. This is now India's second heaviest weighted counter in the Nifty, 18 rupees higher, 1250. Strong show by Bajaj Finance, recouping a lot of losses, 31 rupees higher, 7240. Kotak Bank, 1220 higher, 1923. Bajaj Finserv in the green, Tata Motors in the green, this is good news. L&T in the green, that's better news. SBI flat, ITC flat, levers not doing anything. TCS and Axis Bank have slipped a bit. So far so good, 120 points higher on the Nifty. NSE 500 now, a 20%, okay. Blue Star, 4.5% higher, 2121. You have Sterling and Wilson, 1.8% higher, 565. I think we have its earnings today. Persistent System, now this is interesting, 3.26% higher, 5800. Fresh record high. Yesterday this was the top gainer in the Nifty IT space as far as software companies are concerned. A fall in crude oil prices, and therefore you see Indigo Aviation 2% higher. Asian Paints 1% higher. Asian Paints uses a lot of crude oil derivatives to as its raw material feed for the paint business. Therefore, a dip in crude oil prices is beneficial. A very, very quick drop into FNO. Okay, Bharti Airtel 2% higher. That's looking good. Pidilite, another oil derivative play, 1.26% higher, 3171. And of course, who can forget the oil marketing companies? Therefore, HPCL 1.5% higher. You'll have a similar gain coming into BPCL. All put together, a 100-point gap up on the Nifty. This is very, very good because the remaining call writers at 25,000 will now have to cover their shorts, and that essentially means that more strength will come to Nifty bulls. Let's hope we get a close above 21 EMA as far as Nifty is concerned. Dharmesh ji, a very quick view on Persistent. Is it still worth it?
Yeah, definitely, Shalji. If you look at the earnings trajectory of Persistent, it has been always on the higher side, and because the valuations are rich, we do see trading play coming to it. But going forward, I think any technology company which is into R&D is going to benefit more than pure software play. And one should be a buyer out there from a long-term perspective. See, trading plays can happen 5-6% per day. I mean, that is the movement which happens in the market on a daily basis. So don't give much importance to it, but fundamentally, it's a very good buy from a long-term perspective.
Okay, let's look at a few more stocks that are reacting. So Angel One is reacting positively to its earnings. The stock is up nearly 2% higher in the pre-open rates. Remember, the profit had gone up almost 40% for this company on a year-on-year basis. Suntech Realty is also opening nearly 3% higher in trade, and that's after the company reported 33% increase in its sales bookings as well. We will also look at the auto space, especially Ola Electric is something that I'm looking at. Remember, of course, we will be looking at the entire four-wheeler space because of Hyundai IPO opening up. But Ola Electric also, it's consolidated its market share to 34%. The stock is indicating a 1.7% higher move at 89 odd levels right now. Let's look at how Maruti, Tata Motors are also opening up in trade. To see how the four-wheeler big names ahead of IPO opening up will also be important to watch now. Let's look at Maruti. Yes, it's opening about 1.3% higher in trade. Brokerage houses have also penciled in higher targets for Maruti, and Tata Motors opening about 0.4% higher. The right time to welcome Kunal V. Parar now, who's joined in on the show. He's the Vice President of Technical Research at Choice Equity Broking. Warm welcome to you, Kunal. Good to have you with us. Do tell us first up, how are you looking at this opening, and will this sustain as far as the Nifty is concerned? And where would you place your bets today? Any key stocks?
Good morning. And definitely the way Nifty has been reacting since last few days. Right now in pre-opening, it is trading at 25,196. Nifty has a strong support of 24,700, and upper side we can see 25,500. And if Nifty breaks this level, then the one way upside momentum would be there up to the level of 26,200. So overall momentum of the market is looking very good. And from my side, one stock is there which looks very good. If we talk about that one particular stock, it's a TechSrail. In yesterday's trading session, it was up by 5%, gave a close of 206. And the way it has been trading on a daily chart as well on a smaller time frame, I think one would get into the stock for positional purposes. Right now, it is trading at 206, 206.30 with the strict SL of 198 for target of 213, and upper side, the further upside momentum would be there up to the level of 223. So TechSrail looks very good on a daily chart.
Okay. Just the right time to also watch a very strong show on Angel One. 8% higher, 29.40. Remember BSE, remember CDSL, and keep an eye out on Angel, followed by Motilal Oswal Financial Services. A very, very strong show as far as markets are concerned. A quick look in the most active space. Reliance is now down a rupee, now down 1%, 27.70. HCL is showing signs of profit booking. Let's see whether this dip is purchased or not. TCS on the back foot, 0.4% lower. Divi's Lab profit booking about 1% lower. I'm purposely marking stocks that have a red tick because a vast majority are in the green, and most of them have been highlighted by us. Kunal, a very quick view on Indigo, 47.64, 1.8% higher. What is the view given that crude oil prices are weakening and we are heading into perhaps the biggest festive season ahead of Diwali?
Well, definitely the way Indigo has been trading, it has been trading in an uncharted territory, as well as it has given a breakout of its recent top as well. And the way volume activity is happening in this counter, I think further upside momentum would be there in the Indigo. Right now it is trading at 4,650 in an pre-opening session. Further upside would be there up to the level of 4,940, and if stock breaks this hidden resistance, then further upside would be there up to the level of 5,200. So definitely I think further upside momentum would be there. If you have this stock in a portfolio, you can hold this stock. And if you want to go for fresh long, then even you can go for fresh long with strict SL of 4,650.
Okay, let's get Dharmesh ji into the conversation as well. Dharmesh ji, I will bring your attention to this entire capital markets related stocks now. Angel One to start off with the stellar set of numbers that have actually come in. The stock is already indicating a very strong start in today's trading session. Now it's indicating almost an 8% uptick. 29.40 is the current level at which in the pre-open trade it is trading at. These stocks have actually had a dream run when the entire space was up and about. Stocks like BSE, CDSL, Angel One, these have been the front runners in this space. With the kind of earnings stamp also now coming in after that side for rally that we have already seen, what more upside do you see for such stocks, sir?
Saki, I mean, all these capital market stocks, be it BSE, CDSL, or broking companies, they are likely to see a good run up for next 3 to 5 years. So this trend is likely to continue because more and more participants are coming into market. Each of these broking companies are adding more and more clients, and not only means more business for the broking companies but also for the exchange and regulators as well as depository participants. So and you still not scratched the surface. I mean, 16 crores is the demat account, but there are many accounts which are multiple demat accounts. So actually, it is 4.5 to 5 crores who are unique demat accounts. So from there, if you look at it, the working population of India, which is around 58 to 60 crores, and even 10% more participate. So almost 100% jump we are seeing in the participating activity going forward for next 3 to 5 years. So just valuing it on the current value PE multiple for 2 year, 3 year won't be the right way to look at it. It's more of a generational wealth kind of a creator. You should not look at even a decadal wealth, but if you're looking at from generational wealth, then these are very good buy. So we recommendation is go for a basket buy rather than an individual stock picking here.
Sakshi, I think last week Mr. Anand, no, Mr. Firoz Aziz was there from Anand Rathi Wealth discussing quarterly earnings, and he mentioned a specific index called the Nifty Capital Markets Index, which has been set up with specifically this intent. The names we all know are a part of them, usual BSE, MCX, CDSL, CAMS, K Fintech, Motilal Oswal Financial Services, Angel One, and maybe 5-7 more. So that is the index to keep track of. Of course, the first value hasn't come in, but there are views in the market to sort of look at it as a basket purchase, just as Dharmesh ji has suggested, and then maybe look into it. Motilal Oswal Financial Services also hit a record high in yesterday's trade. Let's look at the other part of the market, 912. Some strong moves coming into the PSU basket. I'll request Kunal to take a view on HPCL, 2% higher, 414, given the muted move in crude oil prices towards lower edges. Your view on HPCL, 414?
Well, if we talk about the stock, no doubt in pre-opening, it is trading at 2% higher, as well as it has also taken the support of its previous bottom, which was which was stands at 388. Further upside momentum would be there because on a smaller time frame, stock is going to give a breakout of its 4012 level. So one can say double bottom breakout would be the on a smaller time frame, and based on which we can see further upside momentum would be there up to the level of 445, and if stock breaks this 445, then further upside would be there up to the level of 460. So yes, if during the opening session stock sustain at this level, then I think one should get into the stock for good upside momentum.
Okay. Well, the markets have settled in the pre-opening trade. Maruti Suzuki is the top mover on the Nifty in the pre-open, 1.4% higher. You have BPCL, Ultratech Cement, Power Grid and Tata Steel is among those other top performers. In the PSE basket, which is the public sector enterprises basket, the index itself is indicating a 0.5% uptake. Of course, it's the oil marketing companies that are hawking the limelight with the crude oil prices decline. We also have our previous favorites like RECPFC also passing in trade. You have NTPC. So some of these power majors are also indicative of a positive start. Among the sectors, all the sectors are actually indicating a positive start in today's trading session, led by auto space, consumer durables. These are the pockets that could actually be seeing sharp moves in today's trade. Let's get Dharmesh ji to understand, how should one be really looking at the consumption basket, particularly consumer durables, right ahead of the peak festive season, sir, now.
So actually, I think it's a trade which is playing out. One can, I mean, from a trading perspective, you can still dabble into a HUL or Nestle and Britannia, Americo, and the likes. But fundamentally, if you ask me whether I would be a buyer in this from a 1 year perspective or so the answer is no, because I don't think there is much price action which will play out there. So as a trade, you can take it. I think all looks attractive as of now. The best topic out there would be ITC.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Tuesday begins on a strong note. 78 points higher on the Nifty. 25,200, ladies and gentlemen, is with the bulls. That's good news. IT. 250 points higher on the IT index. The Nifty Bank is 153 points higher. And what is really, really good news is that the gains on the NSE 500 are more than that at the Nifty, which essentially means that broader markets are also rejoicing. Let's look at the two earnings, boys. Let's take at good news first. HCL Tech, 0.5% higher, 1866. Reliance, 0.8% lower as far as the markets are concerned at 2722. This is not looking good for Reliance in terms of the muted earnings that it announced for the second quarter. Now, what is on positive ground? Look at HDFC Bank, 5 rupees 20 higher, plus ICICI Bank plus 7 rupees higher. That essentially means that both Nifty and Bank Nifty will be on a strong footing. Because of HCL Tech, Infosys is in the green, 16.5 rupees higher. It's a very, very positive move ahead of its earnings. And in the IT space, it's just taking it away. Look at Coforge, fresh record high, 0.7% higher. Look at Persistent, fresh record high, 0.9% higher. Strong move coming into TCS as well, now back in the green. What else is buzzing in trade? Let me just give you a very quick view on the top traded counters. Angel One, 7% higher. Kunal, your view on Angel One very quickly. This was the top pick from our friend Mr. Kunal Rambia yesterday in the closing show. Angel One, what do you do at 29.14? This is way, way below its all-time high.
Stock is sustaining above its small resistance line, which was stored at 2,785. Stock is trading at 2,930. I think further upside would be there up to the level of 3,240, and further upside would be 3,445. So if you have this stock in your portfolio, please hold this. We can see further upside momentum even up to the level of 10% from the present level.
Okay, the entire brokerage space is afloat with gains. CDSL, fresh record high now, 3% higher, 1628. JM Financials, 5% higher, 163. And of course, you have Angel One leading this pack. Sakshi, what are you seeing?
Well, the entire crude oil basket related stocks are up and about. BPCL is scaling higher, 1.8% up now in trade. Along with it, the other stocks are also up. IOC is also buzzing higher in trade. Asian Paints from the paint space is taking it away. It's now at 3,080 odd levels, 1.4% higher. Indigo is also opening about 1.5% higher in trade as well. So this crude oil fueled move is definitely something to watch out for. 25,200 crossed on the Nifty now. Your sense, Dharmeshji, how should one be playing this crude oil fueled move? Which are the safest spaces? Should one stick with OMCs, or should one also look at the paint space and the aviation space as well?
I think actually there are two clear winners for any decline in crude oil is the OMCs and the aviation space. And to my mind, I don't see crude oil sustaining above, Brent crude above 80, 85 for a long period of time. There will be spikes in between based on news flow. But the structural fundamental thing is demand is on a downside. For automobile sector, the transport sector, basically only aviation is the one which is using crude oil as a fuel. But other than that, most of the vehicle space is seeing a shift to renewable energy. And that is a lid on that, and that offers well for, the other users like paint space and but paint has its own challenges because a lot of capacities are coming in. It's going to be a volume game from here on rather than a pricing plus volume game. So we are avoiding paint space. Refiners will still continue to find valuation comfort and some upside for next 2 to 3 years, and thereafter even they have to rethink on their business strategy, and most of them have started doing so. Aviation, Jet Airways, Indigo looks to be a good buy, and HPBP looks to be a good buy from the refining space.
Okay.
9:20, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's take a detour into the broader markets. As pointed out, the opening has been fairly okay. Sakshi and I tracked 19 indices for you. 17 are in the green. The rally today is led by the Nifty IT index, 0.7% higher, 43,190. All of them are up. Infosys, Tech Mahindra, HCL Tech, TCS, Persistent, Emphasis, Coforge. Kunal, please be ready with the Coforge chart. I'll just come to you on that. Advanced decline ratios, they are fairly okay. 1377 stocks are in the green, 776 are in the red. Look at the advanced decline ratio of NSE 500, which is most critical. 333 shares in the green, 164 in the red. Let's look at the mid cap and the small cap IT index. All these things point out to the underlying strength of the market. Small cap index is 0.5% higher. Out of 100, 60 stocks are in the green. The mid cap index is 0.2% higher. 67 out of 100 stocks are in the green. It's the pharma stocks that are doing very well. Kunal, first Coforge and then Granules India. All of these showing strength. What is your view on these two stocks?
Well, let's talk first on this Coforge right now trading at 7,517. It is even the breakout of its recent top on a smaller time frame, has been trading in an uncharted territory, even has been trading in an upward rising channel formation. So the primary trend is on upside only. From the present level, we can see upside momentum up to the level of 7,650, and if stock breaks this 7,650, then one way momentum would be the up to the level of 8,100. So yes, means as per the condition wise, one can create a fresh position at present level with a strict SL of 7,200. If you talk about granulars, the way stock has been trading on a daily chart, I think a further upside momentum that we can see the counter up to the level of 652, and if stock breaks this 652, then further upside momentum would be up to the level of 720. Downside, one can keep SL at 580, and the way stock has been trading, I think on a smaller time frame, stock is giving a breakout of its double bottom formation, and it has been trading above its 50 hourly moving average as well. So primary trend is on upside only on a smaller time frame. We can see a very good upside momentum in granulars.
Okay, Kunal, can we also look at the F&O space that's also buzzing with strong names like IndiaMart? Intermesh is something that's catching my attention, 2.7% higher in trade. You also have stocks like Pidilite and PVR Inox that are inching up higher in the F&O space as well. What looks good to you within F&O?
Well, if we talk about IndiaMart, Pidilite, and other stock, the way all these stocks have been trading on a daily chart, I think Pidilite looks very good on a daily chart because recently stock has taken the support of a slower band of rising channel formation. Not only this, in today's trading session right now, stock is trying to sustain above its 50 MA. And during the yesterday's trading session, it formed bullish ceramic candlesticks formation as well. So all the equation goes in the favor of Pidilite for creating long position only. One can get into the stock at 3,205 with strict SL of 3,100. Upper side first target that we can see in the counter is 3,335. And if stock breaks this level, then further upside would be there up to the level of 3,420. So Pidilite looks very good in terms of all the technical equation as well as in terms of risk reward.
Okay, got it. So that's as far as the F&O space is concerned. A whole host of other stocks also that are pulling up now. Infosys is among the top movers, 1985, 1.4% higher. As Shail pointed out, it's been the IT move that's been leading this rally from the front today. HCL Tech follows with about 1% uptick right now. And of course, we have some of the other stocks that are also pulling up in trade. IT definitely clearly the flavor of the day. Dharmeshji, Infosys versus HCL Tech, where would you place your bets?
Sakshi, none. So I'm not a fundamental buyer at these levels on the valuation multiple. I would like to see the earnings of Infosys first, and then post 15th of November, once the US elections are out, and the overall trajectory of the strategy part of the US government is known. Thereafter, I think it will make more sense to dabble into IT stocks. Two parts. One is the overall scenario is still not very clear. And secondly, they are sitting on very high rich valuation multiple with hardly any scope of, the elbow room out there.
Right. I think while it's right to be a little cautious in the market, but the market itself is telling you a very different story. Infosys at a record high, ladies and gentlemen, that itself is an event of great reckoning. The last time Infosys hit a record high, it was somewhere in 3rd of Jan 2022. So we are now 2 years and 8 months ahead. That's 24 plus 8, 32. So a 32-month high has been taken out by Infosys ahead of its earnings, and that is of critical importance. There is widespread move coming into possibly defense. Remember, all these stocks have been beaten black and blue. Look at Garden Reach, 1% higher, 1713. Let's focus on HAL. This is a new addition in Cholamandalam Finance Securities, stable in terms of quality stocks to be purchased at current levels, 4521. This is in the green. You have Cochin Shipyard in the green, Masdao Dock in the green. Let's look at volume buzzers. Already on HCL Tech, 50% of 5-day average is traded after the company came out with a very strong set of numbers, and it is at a record high, not to mention that. Let's look at volume buzzers in F&O. India Mart, Sakshi has already highlighted this, 43% of 5-day average is traded, and of course PVR Inox, 2.9% higher, 1636. A quick draw at NSE 500. This is a stock to watch. RK Forgings, a new research report points to a very high price target, but what will Kunal do is give an idea where it is headed most immediately. Already 100% of 5-day average is traded, Kunal. RK Forging for you, 1045. What are the charts telling you?
Well, chart is telling about the northward momentum only. Right now, stock is trading at 1045. Trading above all its long-term moving average is trading in an uncharted territory. If we talk about RSI wise as well, then RSI recently has taken the support of its 35 marks. So all the equation goes in the favor of creating a long positions only. One can get into the stock at 1045 with strict SLF 1000. Upper side further momentum would be there up to the level of 1080, and 1080 is hidden resistance, and if this time stock breaks this 1080, then further upside would be there up to the level of 1160. So yes, this stock looks very good on a daily chart.
Okay, got it. Let's again look at the market and the broader markets, particularly one stock that caught my attention is Vatik Vabag. Remember, the stock has been in an up move and an uptrend. The company has now announced that it has won a mega order worth 1,000 crores from Indosol Solar Private Limited. And this order includes the scope of design, engineering, supply, installation, testing, commissioning of 100 mld distillation plant, desalination plant, which will be executed over 38-month period, followed by a 15 years of operation and maintenance contract as well. Big order that's been fueling some fire in Vatik Vabag, 1729 right now. Let's get Dharmeshji into the conversation to understand. Of course, this stock has been one of the performers in this space. How would you look at the stock at these current levels with this new order flows coming in for the company, sir?
Sakshi, we have not tracked this company for a while now. Though the space is interesting, but the only problem with the space is the kind of the operating margins it enjoys, and that is very limited, and most of it is dependent on the government orders. So particularly, and that too, state government, local, municipal corporations play a big role in when the order inflows comes to them, and that's the reason why we have, though we are constructive on the space, but no stocks specific calls out there.
Okay. Right. Kunal,
Pidilite, ladies and gentlemen, this is what Pidilite is something which will attract a lot of swing traders on the long side. Great marquee brand available at a fairly sharp discount to its most recent high, 34.12, and of course falling crude oil prices are a very strong tailwind. Kunal, what are the charts telling you on Pidilite? Earnings are on 23rd of October, so you possibly have a good swing trade in the making. What are the charts telling you?
Well, chart is in favor of upside momentum only because stock has been trading in an upward rising channel formation, and recently it took the support of its lower band. Not only this, in today's trading session, stock is trying to sustain about its 50 days moving average. During yesterday's trading session, stock from bullish ceramic candlesticks formation. So all the equation goes for in favor of bull side momentum only. One can get into the stock at 3,192 with a strict SL of 3,100.
Okay, right. We will thank you, Dharmeshi, at that note for being with us and for sharing wonderful insights like you always do with our viewers. Hope you have a great time until we meet you next on air to see some more insights within the markets too. Let's again get back to the markets. What's buzzing is clearly the capital market space. Angel One continues to be 7% higher. You have 361 WAM that's pulling up now, 3% up. CDSL, CAMS. You also have some of the other stocks that are all buzzing in trade. Kunal, would you look at this brokerage houses space and tell us, which is your favorite stock in this current momentum?
Well, all the brokerage stocks are trading at a very good level. If you talk about Angel Broking, if you talk about CDSL, or if you talk about Motilal Oswal and all the stocks are performing at a very good level. But one stock is there which has catch my eye. It's a CDSL. Since last 3 to 4 days, I have been keeping my eye on these stocks. Right now, stock is trading at 1600. One level, stock has already given a breakout of its smaller channel formation on a smaller time frame. So one can get into the stock at 1603 level with a strict SL of 1520. No doubt SL is at a little bit lower level, but I think we can see a good upside momentum based on this SL. First target that we can see the counter is at 1665, and if stock breaks this 1665, then one way momentum would be there up to the level of 1800. So yes, this CDSL looks very good on a daily chart.
Okay. One more interesting stock that's pulling up on the Nifty is Bharti Airtel. It's now 1.5% higher in trade at 1721. We have seen that the stock has actually performed very well. Remember, today is also very important for telecom space to be watched out, as Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be inaugurating ITU, World Telecommunication Standardization Assembly, and India Mobile Congress at the Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi. This is the first time this conference is being held in Asia, and India is the host this year. So this is going to be extremely important with the way telecom space is going to be seen going forward from here. Talks on 6G, how things will be developed on that front will also be important. So some key voices will be telling you what is the future of telecom in India and around the world as well from that conference. So we'll continue to keep an eye out on that and get you insights from there too. But let's get Kunal to first talk about Bharti Airtel and the way he sees the charts on this one.
Well, Bharti Airtel right now trading at 1723 level on an hourly chart. It is trying to give a breakout of its 1705 level. Not only this, stock has been trading above its 50 mm on an hourly chart. So overall rhythm looks very positive. Even if we talk about daily chart, on a daily chart, it has been trading on in a upward rising channel formation only. So all the equation goes in favor of bull side only. One can get into the stock at 1722 with the strict SL at 1630. Upper side first target that we can see in the counter at 1790, 1790. And if stock breaks this 1790, then further upside would be there up to the level of 1900. So overall we can see that 10 to 12% of momentum that we can see in the counter from the present level with strict SL of 1630.
9:35, ladies and gentlemen. The Nifty is consolidating 50 points higher, 25,178. The call writers at 25,200 at the moment are producing a very, very strong resistance. Remember, about 4 days ago, 4 working days ago on Nifty, the high was, I think, 25,234. Yes, exactly on October 9th. So that is proving to be a hurdle as far as markets are concerned. Today's high is 25,212, where call writers have become active and they are selling calls in the hope that 25,200 is not what the Nifty bulls can breach. but look at the composition of the index in terms of strength. What are the stocks that are taking the Nifty higher? ICICI Bank, second highest weight. Infosys, fourth highest weight. Bharti Airtel, Asian Paints and TCS. What is pulling the Nifty lower? It's just one. Reliance, down 0.6% as markets react in a muted fashion as far as prices are concerned. But blowouts happening on Tata Power, 2% higher. BPCL, 2.9% higher. And a very little known but important company, L&T Housing Finance, breaking through the first resistance of the day. Let's look at L&T Finance. This is not something that we track very often, but a wonderful swing trade in the making on which Kunal will elaborate. The bounce is from 200 DMA. The counter looks good. Kunal, what are the charts telling you?
If you talk about L&T Finance right now, stock is trading at 167. Stock is already has a stock has already taken the support of its previous bottom, which was at 163. Right now, stock is trading at 167. I think it's a perfectly. I think stock is trading at perfect level to go to creating for long position. Risk reward is in favor of creating long position only. One can get into the stock with the strict SL of 163. First target upper side that we can see it's a 174, and if stock breaks this 174, then further upside will be there up to the level of 187. So yes, risk reward is very much favorable for creating strong long position. 163 is a strict SL.
Okay. Let's get back to the OMCs. Oil marketing companies are further seeing some fire. HPCL is up over 4% now. BPCL 2.5% higher. IOC up 2%. These are the top movers in the PSU index as well. Kunal, between the three, which of the chart in the OMC space really looks positive to you to place fresh bets as well?
Well, if you talk about all three CMs, OMCs, BPCL, IOC, and HPCL, I think Hind Petroleum looks very good at this juncture. Stock is trading at 422. Stock is trading above its 50 mm. On a smaller time frame, stock has given a breakout of its double bottom formation as well. So Hind Petro looks very good on a daily chart. I think one can get into the stock with strict SL of 407 as per the current criteria. Upper side first target that we can see in the counter is the 446, and if stock breaks this 446, further upside momentum would be there up to the level of 460. So yes, HPCL looks very good amongst other counters.
Okay, got it. So that's the OMC space that we have actually discussed pretty much a lot of it. Okay, Angel One, let's pay attention to that one more time. 8.7% higher. No stopping this one. It's only inching up. It's now at the day's high level. Angel One right now at 29.57. That's the kind of move that you are seeing on this. We will continue to revisit this stock. We've already discussed both technically and fundamentally the views of our guests on these spaces. Apart from this, it's the small cap index that's actually doing very well. 0.6% higher now in trade for this one. Of course, stocks like Aadhar Housing Finance are now pulling up here, 3% higher. From the IT packets, First Source Solutions, that's 4% up in trade. Aegis Logistics, 5-Star Business Finance. Some of these housing finance companies I can see are actually doing very well here. Apart from this, Inox Wind, Radico Khaitan, Keynes Technologies, Scient, Raymond, these are the stocks that are all pulling up in trade. Kunal, let's get you to talk about the small cap space as a whole. We've discussed the brokerage houses space. Some of the stocks are actually buzzing there. Beyond that, within the small caps, what interests you right now?
Well, if you talk about small cap stocks and all, right now, the way small cap index has been trading. I think few stocks are there which looks very good to me on a daily chart. No doubt we have already talked about the Angel one. 361 is looking very good, but one stock is there. It's Aegis Logistic. Right now it is trading at 696, up by 3%. Stock has given a breakout on a smaller time frame. Further upside momentum would be there as stock has been trading on a good level. One can get into the stock in Aegis Logistic at 696 with strict SL of 680. Further upside would be there up to the level of 720, and if stock breaks this 720, then 760 would be there. So Aegis Logistics looks very good on a smaller time frame as well as on a daily time frame.
9:41, ladies and gentlemen. For the moment, it's more or less even Stevens for the market. We've had a gap up. Nifty bulls are desperately trying to defend 25,150, 25,100 as far as markets are concerned. Helping them on their way up is the Nifty IT index. Record highs on HCL Tech, record highs on Infosys. Strong show on Coforge, persistent emphasis. The entire mid-cap space is doing pretty well. Let's look at some other volume buzzers which just might attract trader interest. Let's look at Motilal Oswal Services, again a record high. Kunal, what are the charts telling you? 5% higher, and it's a sectoral tailwind as far as Motilal Oswal Financial Services is concerned. Almost 868 for you.
Stock has been trading in an uncharted territory with our average volume, so rhythm is in positive side. I think further upside momentum would be there, but I'm not suggesting to create a long position because this reward is not that much of favorable. But if you have the stock in your portfolio, I think hold the stock because further upside momentum we can see up to the level of 895, and if stock breaks this 895, then further upside would be there up to the level of 1015. So good upside momentum would be there in the counter, but not suggesting to create a long, fresh long position at this juncture.
Okay, let's look at circuits. These are spaces where either you have a paucity of supply and an upper circuit, or you have a paucity of buyers and a lower circuit. There are so many of them, but let me just try and pin out some good names. You have a company called Indotech Transformers, 5% higher, 2267. You have a stock called, okay, let me just avoid these names. They are just, how should I say, let's just stick to Indotech Transformers as far as prices are concerned, up 5%. The rest of them, of course, are on circuit, but it's best not to name such stocks in the public format. How about another thing in terms of gainers with a slightly higher time frame? Let's look at gainers over the last 5 days on the NSE and try and make some sense. Okay, Usha Martin. I'll request Kunal to look at the chart. 27% higher over the last 5 days and at 439. There is a very, very strong show that is coming in on Ganesh Housing. This was one of the outperformers 6-7 months ago, but now coming back into action, 3.5% higher, 1028. You have a strong move coming into Zen Technologies, 15% higher in the last 5 sessions at about 1900 rupees. Motilal Oswal Financial Services has also gathered 16% in the last 5 sessions. Usha Martin for you. Kunal, what are the charts telling you?
Well, chart is in favor of northward momentum only. Right now, stock is trading at 437. Stock has already given a breakout of its recent top, which was placed at 424. And if we talk about day before yesterday's momentum, it was like absolutely like in favor of bullish side only. Right now, stock is trading at 437. one can get into the stock at present level with strict SL of 400. No doubt SL is at 8% somewhere around, but I think do not get worried with this SL because we can see a strong upside momentum up to the level of 467, and now this is a hidden resistance as per the retracement level, and if stock breaks this 467, then one way momentum would be there up to the level of 515. So we can say that from the present level, 17 to 18% of upside momentum we can witness in the counter. So yes, one can get into the stock with strict SL of 400.
Okay, got it. Now, pharma space is something that we can look at as well. About half odd percent of a move on the upside can be seen on the index itself. JB Chemicals and Pharma is moving up in trade. You have Ajanta Pharma, Laurus Labs, Lupin Biocon, Zydus Life Sciences. These are the stocks that are showing us some momentum. Does this space interest you even now, Kunal, or do you think the best of the recent rally is done and dusted?
Well, if you talk about this Jimmy Chemical and Zydus Life, then I think Zydus Life looks very good at present level. Stock is trading at 1070 level, and stock has a strong support of 1030. Okay, now this 1030 was acted as a resistance. Now it has become a support for the counters. So one can get into the stock at 1070 with the SL of 1030. Upper side first target that we can see the counter is 1100, and if stock breaks this 1100, further upside would be there up to the level of 1150. So yes, Zydus Life looks very attractive compared to JB Chemical.
Okay, Zydus Life is something that you're looking at right here. Let's again look at the Nifty next 50 stocks that are now looking good, about 0.3% higher on the index itself. Coforge is something that Shell has marked. Emphasis, Infosys, LTI, Mindtree, Persistent. These are the stocks that are actually buzzing in the Nifty next 50 as well. It's only the IT names that are buzzing right here. PSU banks, let's look at that index too, 2/10% higher in trade. Bank of Baroda, Union Bank and Bank of India, just 0.25% to about 1% higher in trade. Within the PSU index, yes, we can discuss PFC and REC again, about 1.5% higher in trade for these two stocks. Along with it, even NTPC is pulling up in trade. Power space for you, Kunal, how would you be really looking at PFC, REC? More momentum upside ahead, or is this just going to be lackluster after recent, the kind of declines we have seen here?
Well, PFC and REC, I think both the counter looks very attractive on a daily chart. If we talk about particularly PFC, uh, stock has formed bullish reversal candlesticks formation on a daily chart. It's a piercing line candlesticks formation. Right now, stock is trading at 480. We can see further upside momentum from the present level. For trading perspective, I think one can keep SL at 462 for an upper side level, target of 488 to 501. But for short-term perspective, I think one can keep SL at 430. Right now, stock is trading at 480. One can keep SL at 430 for short-term. For short-term trading perspective, upper side target that we can see is a 518. And if stock breaks this 518, further upside would be there up to the level of 580. So PFC looks very good for positional trading and short-term trading as well.
9:50, ladies and gentlemen. The first half an hour of trade has happened, and one clear trend that has emerged is that the muted crude oil prices trend is working very well in the market, and stocks such as HPCL and BPCL are doing very well. Remember, I checked HPCL at 414. Now the counter is at 424 and is the top gainer in the F&O space. So keep an eye out on this. The Nifty seems to be testing 25,100 for it to be very sure that it will go up from now on. That test is very, very critical and should hold given the strength that we are seeing on the chart. Remember, today's high in the opening was 25,220. So about 100-point profit booking, and that should satisfy all call writers who sold at 25,200 and are now going to cover this call at a strength of 25,100. Now what is also showing good strength in terms of prices? Look at Ajmera Realty. This is not a stock that we often talk about, but the reason that I am marking it is that real estate space is doing very well, and this counter has had a blowout day, 12.5% higher. Kunal, your view on Ajmera Realty? Very strong volume, 2300 crores has been traded, and a very strong show. What are the charts of Ajmera Realty telling you?
Well, chart stocks today's momentum is like very attractive because momentum is taking place with above average volume. Right now, stock is sustaining above its 50 days moving average as well. So all the equation goes in favor of bull side momentum only. But side by side, stock has a strong resistance at 782. Right now, stock is trading at 757. So I think one should wait for creating a long position. But if you have already created a position in the counter, then I think I should say wait for the time being. If stock breaks this 782, then further upside would be there up to the level of 887. So if you're already creating a long, if you're already positioned, then hold. And for creating new position, I think one should wait.
Okay, let's look at the broader markets and where we can actually see some names which are doing well in this market, which is now turning volatile, and the markets are testing the Nifty is testing 25,125 odd levels now. It's now slipped below that. It's in the red. Broader markets, some of the names are actually doing well. Even then we can see Grashi Motors, that's up 9% in trade. You also have stocks like Aksh Optifiber, that's up 7.8% in trade. Suntech Realty we had marked in the morning because of the news flow right there, and the sales coming in strong for this one. 33% higher for the pre-sales booking, and the stock is now up about 7 odd percent. Motilal Oswal Financial Services we've already marked within that entire space. Shell has marked that too on the records being set here. Maharashtra Scooters, that's up by 5.5%. Time Technoplast is up 5%. You also have Vesuvius India, that's up 5% higher in trade as well. So these are some of the stocks that are actually doing very well in the broader markets, so to speak. And Maharashtra Scooters, that's also up. Igrashi Motors, some of these auto names that are also doing well at this point in time. Let's pull up some more names if we can from this space. I think this is it. These are the stocks that we can actually discuss in terms of the strong moves being seen. But realty space for you, Kunal, Suntech Realty particularly, the news flow is there. But overall in the real estate space, what interests you right now?
Well, overall, realty stocks are doing pretty well. If you talk about Godrej Property, DLF, or Sunteck Realty, all the stocks right now are trading at a very good level. But few stocks are there, where risk reward is in favor of creating a long position. If you talk about Prestige, right now trading at 1880 level, and the way stock has been trading on a daily chart, I think further upside momentum we can see. Right now, strong support comes at 1800 level. Right now, stock is trading at 1877. One can go for long position with 1800 as a first target that we can see. It's a 1975, and stock breaks this 1975, then further upside will be there up to the level of 2075. So Prestige looks very good amongst other realty counters.
Okay, got it. So that's as far as the real estate space is concerned. Let's look at some of the other pockets. Now, some pockets that have actually slipped into the red, let me mark for all of you viewers, because the Nifty itself is now down by 35 odd points, 25,092. 2500 has been tested and breached on the lower side. 1/10% loss on the Nifty. What's causing this drag? Metals. Losing sheen, 0.9% lower in trade. Autos, half odd percent lower. Realty also about 10% lower in trade. You have FMCG, private banks. The Nifty Bank has actually slipped into the red, so the banking space also exerting some pressure there on the downside. But what's still holding up? It's the small caps that are about 0.5% higher in trade. IT, oil and gas is something that we've discussed already. These are the pockets that are still holding up. Apart from this, PSU banks, pharma, infra, consumer durables are the other pockets that are still holding up and about at this point in time. On the Nifty, BPCL, that's up nearly 3% in trade. Bajaj Finserv has pulled up about 1.4% higher. That's another top mover on the Nifty. Infi, Bharti Airtel, Asian Paints, Adani Ports and ICICI Bank are the other top movers. But the gainers count has actually drastically reduced on the Nifty. It's now just about 15 odd names, probably that's all in the green. Tata Steel has slipped 1.2% lower. Bajaj Auto, ONGC, M&M, Hindalco, Nestle, Reliance Industries, these are the stocks that are exerting some pressure on the markets right now as we speak. Even on the F&O space, what's dragging lower are stocks like IEX 1.7% lower, Gujarat Narmada Valley Fertilizers about 1.4% lower. But the ones that have lost even more is Colgate Palmolive, ONGC, M&M, Bajaj Auto, JSW Steel. These are the stocks that are actually dragging in trade right now. Let's get you to talk about both the Nifty and Nifty Bank right now, Kunal. How would you really look at these two indices and where would you really look at for continued momentum?
Well, no doubt, we are witnessing some profit booking from its days high. But I think one should wait at this level because volatility is high level, and if we talk about particularly last 5 minutes, I think we have seen some drastic downside momentum. Means one can say it's a profit booking only, but I think to create a long position or short position, I think one should wait to settle down this volatility.
Okay, then so that's as far as the market momentum is, which is dwindling right now. We'll have to track how the markets really move forward from here throughout the course of the day. But clearly the flavor of the day remains on the crude oil fall fueled move, which is the OMCs, the paint companies which use the crude derivative as raw materials, and even the aviation companies that benefit from lower crude oil prices. These are the stocks that are doing well. IT space, of course, fueled by strong earnings of HCL Tech. The entire space seems to be in the thick of action, and that's stemming the loss for the markets right now. But we're almost about 38 points lower in trade on the Nifty, 25,090 at this current point in time. We'll see whether the momentum further picks up after this initial bout of profit booking, as Kunal has really pointed out as well. We'll wrap it up at that now, viewers, in the morning edition of Market Today. Many thanks, Kunal, for being with us on this edition to share with us all your thoughts across the space, various sectors and stocks that we've discussed, and of course on the index level too. We'll wrap it up at that, but do stay tuned on to Business Today Television. We will be continuing to get you the coverage around the IPO space, the mega Hyundai IPO, what it means for you as investors, should you be looking to subscribe to it. Several earnings conversations will also follow soon. So there's enough and more action for you to track on Business Today Television. Stay tuned with us.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let's begin our daily show on calls that will help you on the technical part and the fundamental part of portfolio that you have. Sometimes you do make a mistake in terms of buying the right share at the wrong price or buying the wrong share at the right price, and it requires a lot of technical inputs to have that corrected. Our guest today is Miss Avni Bhatt, Senior Vice President for Equity Derivatives and Research at JM Financial Services. Namaste Avni to you, and a very warm welcome. We are fortunate to have the Nifty above 25,000 now. Do you think that the tide has turned for the better, or is there a possibility of the market testing 24,700?
Good afternoon.